Hey guys, it's Blyboy, and today we'll be going over the Batman villain known as Nicodemus. Now, we're going over this villain because I read a comic recently with him in it, and I thought he was a cool character, and I definitely think he needs to return sometime soon, because you'll see why at the end of this video. But anyway, the story of Nicodemus began during the events known as Bruce Wayne Fugitive. And in this story, you had Bruce Wayne, one of his girlfriends named Vesper Fairchild. She was murdered. Bruce was the main suspect. He was put in prison. However, Bruce didn't want to stay around, so he escaped prison and just went and, he was the Batman. He totally got rid of the identity of Bruce Wayne because that's just what he did. And the story begins with him saying, a long time ago, there was this rich family. They were gunned down in the alleyway. The boy, he lost his parents. He tried loving the city, but at every turn, the city just let him down until finally something happened that made him, try to take care of the city. And it really is going over the rage inside of Bruce and his emotional state at this point, because he's at a very rough part of his career. I mean, Bruce Wayne has become public enemy number one, and all he is Batman. We've been flashed to this guy named Nicodemus, who's like, I tell you these things because I want you to understand why that I'm doing this. He then sticks his hand out towards this corrupt politician on fire, and he just lights the dude ablaze. So obviously what we know from this guy already is that he is not like corrupt guys. He's like a vigilante, but more murderous, almost like the Riddler we see in the new Batman movie trailer. Because if you notice from those trailers, this version of Riddler is going to be insane. He's going to be a murderer. He's going to be a serial killer. But he also seems kind of like a vigilante justice to me. But we then cut to Batman in one of his bat caves talking to Alfred. And Alfred's like, are you sure you're okay? Because, Master Bruce, you good? He's like, no, not Master Bruce. Just, call me Batman. Because what some of you don't understand is the way I see Batman is the night Bruce Wayne's parents died, Bruce Wayne also died, and Batman was born. And that's the way it always has been. Bruce Wayne is just a mask. Batman is his true self. That's why when Wonder Woman put the lasso over Batman and asked, who are you? He goes, I'm Batman. He never said Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is just a mask, and that's something you're definitely probably going to see in the new Batman movie. But anyway, Batman has been called to GCPD headquarters by Commissioner Atkins instead of Gordon. And he basically tells them, look, two cops who just recently retired, they were found dead. And so is this doctor who was also found dead. And they were all corrupt characters. And he tells Batman, this guy, he's a sick son of a bitch. I don't know why he's doing this. And it also kind of feels like how Riddler's going to be in the new Batman, how he's more like a vigilante, but he's killing all these corrupt politicians. But that's for another video. Anyway, he tells them, look, two of these politicians, Thomas Hart and this other guy, they recently went missing, and we got an ID on the car that kidnapped them. And this leads Batman to his lead, which is this guy named, I think it was Stumps. Yeah, it was Stumps, at this bar, which he interrogates, who then gives him the location of Nicodemus. We then go to Nicodemus, who has one of the politicians, and he's about to light him ablaze, when all of a sudden Batman comes, just crashing through the window, just in style. And Nicodemus moves out of the way so he doesn't get hit by Batman. They get into a fight, and during the fight, Nicodemus, he's pretty quick during this fight, and he ends up lighting the room ablaze, as well as lighting up the politician he had in the chair ablaze. However, Batman's very quick, and he extinguishes the flames on the politician, and surprisingly, there's no burns on the politician, which it shouldn't be, likely. The guy should look like Two-Face, probably. But while they're escaping, he ends up kicking down a door and finds the other politician, Thomas Hart, and, they escape the building. And when they get outside, Thomas Hart, he's fine, he's alive. The other politician, however, when he gets to the ground, he's dead because apparently he didn't have his heart medication and he suffers from a heart attack. When they get outside, Batman looks up at a Jumbotron, which has Nicodemus on. He's like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Gotham. My name is Nicodemus, and I've come to issue you a warning. This city is a blaze of evil, and it will be destroyed and burned from the ground as if it never existed. So he's basically saying he's going to cleanse the city of its problems. Batman 602, we continue where we left off, with Nicodemus on the Jumbotron, and, Batman standing there as he gets this message that Nicodemus plans on destroying Gotham from the ground up to get rid of the evil that, lives there. Because, in all honesty, this city has to be cursed. As many villains as it has, it's not a normal place. But anyway, so the mayor Batman receives the news the mayor is strapped to a subway filled with TNT heading towards City Hall on the tracks. Which, to me, just sounds like something straight out of a Jigsaw movie or a Saw movie. Anyway, Batman rushes to the train, and he ejects from his Batmobile, and he lands on top of the train. He then swings into the subway, and he ends up defusing the bomb, and then he frees the mayor, and they both get away. After their getaway, Bruce returns back to his cave, and he watches this thing as the news honors Thomas Hart, the surviving victim of Nicodemus' kidnapping and attempted killing, which Batman finds suspicious because they really go all in this guy's history. Like, he graduated from this college, and he grew up in a wealthy family, and Batman's like, you know what, this guy, he is giving me a bad feeling, and I'm going to go look in the public records and see what I can find out about this guy. And so he ends up going to the public records, sneaks in as Batman does best, as cops, they're about to come in, and Batman looks into the file of Thomas Hart. And he finds a connection between all the victims and also a connection to Thomas Hart and Nicodemus. So Batman heads to Commissioner Atkins to tell him, what he's found. Well, while all this is going on, a memorial's being held for McKenna, the politician who died of a heart attack. And at this thing, a blackout happens where all the lights go out and Nicodemus strikes. And the person he attacks is none other than Thomas Hart, who is dragged behind into the darkness. Nicodemus then sets the whole building ablaze with his, fire abilities, and the whole building just goes up into a giant ball of fire. And, this is something that makes Firefly happy. But anyway, so Batman rushes to the mayoral banquet, and by the time he's get there, it's already too late. The building's a, flaming ball of fire, like I said, and they both rush in to, get some forensics to find out what exactly happened. So when they get there, they find a circuit breaker had been timed to go off at a certain time, and they find the body of what looks to be Thomas Hart, but Batman's like, nah, that's not Thomas Hart. That guy's some guy named Luke, something that he was another candidate. And they also discovered that the fire, the main cause of it, was the flowers. They were soaked in gasoline, which allowed the fire to get so big and cause a distraction, allowing Nicodemus to get away. After checking out the crime scene, Batman and Commissioner Atkins go to the home of Thomas Hart, where they find out he truly is Nicodemus. The Commissioner asks Batman, how did he know that it was Hart? And Batman tells him it was all right in front of him. He says Hart was raised in a welfare system, and I searched through the files and found a report on a parent's deaths. He then says the two cops who were killed were the investigators in the case, and they decided to cover it all up. He states the reason his parents were killed because McKenna, the guy who suffered the heart attack, was receiving payoffs, and Thomas' father was supposed to testify to the grand jury about it. And the doctor who was killed was also working in the detention center, so that kind of tied everything up in a nice little knot. And Batman says, he talks about destroying the city, but he doesn't care about all. I think he truly does want to destroy the city. Montoya then calls him over and says, look, you guys got to see this. And they find this room filled with newspapers and also a note left for Batman, which is Thomas telling him, look, I respect what you do, Batman. I think what you do is great. But the way you do it is all wrong. You have to start killing these guys. The way you are doing things is inadequate. And I promise you, I will return to this city one day, and I will burn to the ground. And yeah, that's the last we've seen of Nicodemus, which it's kind of sad because it's interesting to know that a criminal actually got away with killing a bunch of people in Gotham and Batman not catching him. So I'd feel like he would be in a book of unsolved cases or criminals that got away or something that Batman would be hunting for. So I hope one day one of the writers at DC will bring back Nicodemus in some big way, because they kind of did set him up as a villain that Batman needs to take down. Somebody who has a very similar past as Batman, a kid whose parents were killed and made him want to become a vigilante. However, a vigilante that burns people alive instead of, goes after criminals. One that goes after corrupt politicians, cops, all that. Someone who has also made the promise that he will return one day, and he's going to finish what he started. So I'm hoping that we will see him return at some point, but, it's been years since this story came out, so you never know. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one. And another thing to add is, I'm sorry I wasn't able to put a video out last week. I haven't been feeling too great, as you can probably tell from my voice. But I'm trying to get back on track. And it's kind of hard to think of ideas. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.